The Mantids are a 12-dimensional intraterrestrial beings who are incredibly knowledgeable in terms of Earth stewardship and energy as well. I've had the opportunity to work with them or encounter them for many years now. The first few times they came into my space, they were offering me energetic support, which was incredibly powerful. But recently, our relationship shifted to me learning from them, and they wanted me to learn about geology. And I wasn't exactly sure why at first until last night some images came through and I was like, ooh, perhaps this needs to be addressed or at least shared with the world. And they were like, exactly. So essentially in today's video, we will take a trip into our geological records from a Mantids perspective to better understand the geological timeline we are currently at and how it may actually impact us in the future. So, welcome back to the download. My name is Isabelle. Billions of years ago, our beautiful Earth was formed, and at the time there was no atmosphere. The core temperature was incredibly hot and there was a lot of storms. Yet, every raindrop that would fall into the earth would turn back into steam. And this cycle of water turning back to steam to be rained down again lasted for a very long time. But this process enabled the core of the earth to finally cool down to where water could suddenly start to pool. When that happened, again, there was no ozone layer, but folic acid, and through being impacted by very potent cosmic rays, they were able to form the first cell and the first organism. These organisms were thriving on CO2 and would expel oxygen. That was their processes. So through this rich CO2 atmosphere, they proliferated. I believe they were called eukaryotes. And these eukaryotes, they became so vast in number that the air became incredibly rich in oxygen, which formed the ozone layer. Eventually, there was so much oxygen into the air that they died, and now they can only be found around volcanoes, but other species could now thrive on oxygen. And this is how our Earth started to proliferate life. But through that process, there's been many cycles of mass extinction, the most famous one being the dinosaur when a comet hit and disturbed the whole environment, which led to the dinosaur becoming extinct. From what I've learned with the Mantids studying the geological record is, although yes, you would expect a mass extension if there was a comet that would hit the Earth. However, there's been many other instances of mass extinctions that had very little variant, and this is what we're going to look into for now. So there was a time where the tectonic plates were still in movement, meaning that throughout the ages, the landmass was quite different than what it looked right now. And there was a point where trees had proliferated and there was a lot of fauna. But what happened is all of the land masses gathered together, and when they gathered together and formed a supercontinent, the moisture from the ocean couldn't actually reach in the middle and help with the plant's survival, and therefore 96% of the wildlife actually collapsed. It all went gone. So just to show that how just a change in the environment can have a massive impact on its ecological component. Another interesting thing that happened is when Antarctica detached from South America. It was a very warm environment at the time, but when this continent detached, it changed all of the ways into which the currents in the oceans travels, which created a massive cooling of the earth and plunged the earth into an ice age, again taking with her and creating a mass extinction. So what I have learned through the Mantids, and it's online, you can, totally research this information online if you wanted to, is there was two factors that seemed to contribute to a mass extinction. One was a rapid rising of CO2 in the atmosphere, and the other one was temperature dropping and creating a deep freeze. So, with that in mind, that brings us to this period that we are currently in, which is called the Holocene. And the Holocene was preceded by a giant ice age who ended 12,500 years ago. What the Mantids were here to tell me, and this Holocene is still very much in flux with very cold temperature, and it's supposed to fluctuate between warmer periods and colder periods. But obviously, due to human activity, there's a lot of CO2 in the air preventing this frost to actually happen. And this brings us back to what I saw last night. Last night I had a vision and all the continents were close together. And I don't think it had to do with like the continents actually coming close together. It's just the Mantids really wanted me to get a picture of something. And the picture was all the continents were close together. And there was a river, a long river that would go from north to south directly. And half of the river stream was coming from north to south, and half of the river would go from south to north, and together they would meet and travel eastward toward the Middle East. And there was also a river coming, and the flow would go from west to east, like dividing all of the land masses into 4 quadrants. Now, I do know that there is no such thing as a river like that do exist. I felt that in that space, these rivers were actually translating into ley lines, which are huge energetic lines that grid the entire earth. And I felt like this was like a major artery. And what I saw afterward was in the top right quadrants, where what it would be here for you guys, like the Middle East, I saw the desert being covered in a blanket of snow. And also in where it would be like South America, it felt like South America to me. And there are some desert there, the same thing happening, like the Atacama Desert in Chile, and these places, this desert being covered with a blanket of snow. Now, am I making a prediction here? No, I know better to make prediction at this time. I just don't feel like, even as a psychic, predictions is not something I want to tap into. I feel there's too many rooms for mistakes, and it can lead to just unnerving people for no good reason, creating panic and fear-mongering. I'm not into that. But just to reel back the message a little bit, and less is more sometimes. So what can we actually draw from it? And what I felt the Mantid want me to realize is, A, they are two competing energies that are affecting the weather right now. The first one is the actual natural flow of the earth, which would mean that the temperature should be a lot cooler right now. And then there's the energy of CO2 rising, which we know from past history usually leads to mass extinction, that are created by us humans and are potentially creating a huge problem for us right now. And here is what I feel the Mantids wanted to let us know is, if we had the technology, or if we were to eradicate CO2 emissions right now, it may seem like a big win for the earth and would be awesome, but it could cause a lot of trouble still for certain people. Now, if you think of experiencing -5 degrees Celsius in northern Canada, where most houses have a heating, well, all of the houses actually have like a heating system in it. that's not a big deal. But if you think of someone who lives in the desert in excruciating hot temperature, and all of a sudden he wakes up the next day and it's minus 5 degrees Celsius outside, that could cause a lot of trouble for a lot of people. Now, the reason this coming into play, and this may sound even crazier, is recently in the last week, I've seen some posts and on YouTube, people mentioning, like in the UK, in the United Kingdom, is passing a law making it illegal to tamper with the weather. Now that sounds crazy because weather playing, if you say, or like, interfering with the weather or creating weather type of thing has been something that's very woo-woo and taboo and some kind of a conspiracy theory for many years now. And what does that tell us? I don't know, because we don't really know what our government officials are up to. We don't really know what the scientific community is up to. But what conclusion we can draw from this are one out of three. If there is a law that is being passed to forbid and make it illegal to play and mess with the weather, that either means A, there's somebody somewhere doing something with the weather, or there's somebody somewhere with the technology to play with the weather, but we don't know if he's doing it yet. Or a third option is they know somehow there is technology currently available to change the weather condition, and whether or not there's somebody somewhere who may use it, we don't know. But in all cases, I feel this is really what the Mantids wanted us to know, that yes, even if we develop the technology to change the weather, we still need to realize that Earth has its own current dynamics going on, and to just eradicate CO2, we may still need to prepare for temperature plunging at a very rapid rate. And although it may not impact us all, it could be very disastrous for certain people in hotter climates if they don't have the warning or they don't have the time to prepare for such climatic change. So this is essentially what the Mantids wanted to share with us today. So this is what I had for you today, guys. If you like this kind of content and you would like to see more of it, I encourage you to like this video, to subscribe, or to share this video. I also offer a private session, so if you would like to take your own psychic abilities to the next level or need help in integrating with cosmic galactic information, or perhaps you need energetic support, I'm also available. My link is in the description box below. Thank you very much and enjoy the rest of your day.